Good morning, YouTube. Wow, it's been, I think, a year since I posted my last video. New YouTuber, you come in and you think you're just gonna go put out video after video after video. Little did I know, did my first few videos and I decided I didn't know what direction I wanted to go to. That being said, I feel like after taking a year of over few hundreds of photos, I say at least at the minimum, maybe 1,000 at best, traveling, seeing so many places, especially around my city, outside my city, I kind of honed down on my skills and discovered a few things about myself that I really wanted to share with you guys. And also give you guys a promise I'm gonna consistently put out YouTube videos sharing my progress with my YouTube community, my photographers out there who just started maybe a few years ago or a few months ago. I feel like some of the skills I attained can come used to even the advanced photographers or even the beginning photographers. So that being said, I'm on vacation, guys, and I want to take some moment to, while my wife is in there just hanging out, I want to take a moment to speak to you guys and put out on some of the key info I found out about photography. Let's get it. First thing I want to speak about when it comes to photography that I learned within the last 365 days is perspective. And I can't express it enough because perspective is very subjective. You know, every photographer in the industry, they have a specific way on how they take their photography. Photography is a way of expression, how you speak, and your style of photography. A lot of people say, oh, that's my style, or that's Peter McKinnon style, or Short Stash style. But what is your style? And the way I define it is your perspective. You might take your camera and you might be able to shoot the photo at a perspective that nobody else sees. And at that perspective, that photo looks amazing, whereas at a different perspective, it just looks garbage. What do I mean by that, right? And it took me some time to figure that out. I used to try to, mind you, I spent the last 8 months prior to getting the 70 to 200 millimeter taking a picture on just a 35 millimeter. I have my GM 35 millimeter, which I use on my A7 IV. And I took mostly street photographies. I took pictures of people, I took pictures of the street, a geometrical shape, anything that catches my eye. And I realized that that 35 millimeter, before we had all these fancy gears, like we had a digital camera, we had photographers who used Kodaks and used film cameras, and they only shot at a 35 millimeter, and they had to make it work. If you wanted to shoot at a perspective, you had to move backwards, forward. But there was a strict focal length for 35 millimeters. Right now, we are privileged to have lenses such as 70 to 200 millimeters at our fingertips. Like this one, I just bought one of my favorite cameras, camera gears I bought after a while, and it's the biggest investment I had due to the fact that it allows me a perspective that most people aren't able to see, or maybe another photographer isn't able to see. That gives personal taste. Here are some of my examples that I've done within the last few years. I should say the last few months, that show you perspective of different millimeter, right? 35 millimeter, 70 millimeter, you go to 200 millimeter, compression, change your perspective. Check out the examples, and I'm able to tell you what exactly it is that I see. This goes into my second point, and I had to come up with a name because there is no official name for these things. Second thing I want to mention is something called guidance. What do I mean by guidance for photographers? The other day, a few months back, I was in the ferry going into Staten Island, and I looked at the Statue of Liberty for the last year that I was on the ferry going back home from work. And I always thought, how can I take the best version of that picture of the Statue of Liberty? There are so many tourists every single day that come to New York City that take the same exact picture with their camera. I want it to be better than the rest. I want it to be unique, give it perspective, have a guidance to have the best version of that photo. So what I did was, every single day when I took the ferry back home around golden hour, it was around 6 to 7 p.m., I would always wait for a moment to see whether or not there is a boat in line with the Statue of Liberty. What do I mean by that? A guidance can be as simple as a hole in the wall. Let's just say you want to take a picture of the Statue of Liberty, the Empire State Building, the Freedom Tower, anything. Anybody can just take a camera and shoot, but you want to draw the attention. You want to grab the attention, guide the people who see your photo into your subject. So it can be anything as simple as just putting your camera low to the ground, just to get a feeling of depth. So you can see while you're looking at your photo, it brings character, the guidance. From my case, guidance would be using the side of the geometrical shape, let's just say the side of a wall. I will use that to line up my photos. A hole in the wall, literally, to line up my photos. I will use a subject in the center of the photo, like a boat or a person, to guide the audience to go ahead and look at exactly what I want them to look at. That's something I learned after taking so many photos and understanding that guiding the audience to the photo is the best way to grab their attention. That's the next step I want to talk about. In my opinion, this is the most important aspect of me being a photographer. And that's something that the reason I took off so long just to take photos is simply for the fact that I wanted to know how to deliver a feeling with my photo. Anybody can shoot photos. We're in a day and age where an iPhone can shoot a raw image. People have access to take so many photos with their gear that they have. You have artificial intelligence. If you do your research, you will understand artificial intelligence can step up your work like no tomorrow. But one thing, in my opinion and my feeling, is that artificial intelligence can't take a photographer, the feeling that the photographer delivers in his photos. What do I mean by that? Anytime I'm outside doing street photos, one of my main focuses, me personally, I try to put a subject in the middle of the photo, because the subject's facial expression and his or her surrounding would always deliver a feeling. I'll give you an example. A few months back, I took a picture while I was in Central Park in Manhattan. I was standing over a bridge and I caught a person waiting next to the subway, the entrance, and trying to get in there, and he looked very stressed and he would just think about his day. And all I can think of is, us New Yorkers, we know what that feels like after having a long day at work. I wanted to capture that. Surrounding were a bunch of other working people who were going to work, and that one person, he stood there next to the cafe, next to Grand Central, and I was able to capture him standing there. I was able to understand what he was feeling. I was able to hopefully deliver what he was feeling, because when you take a look at that photo, you can just understand maybe what kind of hard day he had at work. You're looking at a sunset. You want to stand. I got a chance to see a person standing on the edge of a ferry in a sunset, and he was singing a song out loud. Any other day, just a sunset by itself would not deliver that feeling. But that person being in the middle in that sunset got me to understand how he was feeling, and I was able to capture how he was feeling. So much that I was approached by people next to me who asked me how I took that photo, and all I can think of was, I told them I just wanted to capture how he was feeling, and I put out the actual examples which shows exactly how the gentleman was feeling. So that's the most important thing I learned as a photographer the last year, is that delivering a feeling is so immense. Nobody can replicate that other than you as a photographer. And lastly, this is going to be a fun topic that everybody has a different opinion on. But what I can tell you is, as a photographer, a content creator, videographer, is to stop worrying about gear. I cannot stress it enough. Me, I've been guilty of it. When I first started my photography journey, my first lens was a Viltrox 23mm, and that lens was one of the best lenses I ever used. That being said, I went on to buy more and more gear, of course, but nothing stood up to me being able to just take one lens, my 35mm, everywhere. I had to humble myself after a while, realizing that there are people that use APS-C crop sensor. They even use an iPhone camera to capture the best photos. Gear, I can't sit here and tell you that gear doesn't mean anything. I will tell you gear means a lot. But what I will tell you is if you want to develop your passion for photography, it has to start off with just using a simple 35 or 24 millimeter and just growing from there. I cannot express it enough. I myself, I only have 3 lenses. My camera gear only has 3. 24 millimeter GM, 35 millimeter GM, and my 70-200. And I feel like I need no other lenses to do my work. I will speak about my gears in the future videos, but I cannot tell you enough. Gear means very little. How you see the world as a photographer means more than any gear or anything you ever use. People want to see your work, not the gear's work. I hope the photos I posted, I hope everything I did came somewhat of a help to you somewhere. I will be putting out more videos of all the findings I have done in the last year. I will be expressing myself every single week, letting you know and bringing you on my journey. Anyways, I can stand here and speak for the next 1 hour about how much I love photography, but it's gonna start to rain. I would rather not let my camera get wet, but guys, stay tuned. I'm gonna post all my exciting findings in the next few months, and I hope I could bring you on the journey with me, and you're gonna love it. Peace out, Z. Love you guys.